car in Harvard has become the setting of a death investigation after officers find a man and a woman dead inside Monday night.
There's a car sitting on the side of Route 14 with its hazard lights flashing. An officer approaches, expecting to find someone with a flat tire or mechanical trouble. Instead, he discovers two individuals who have passed away. Both have sustained fatal injuries. A weapon is recovered from inside the vehicle. And here's what makes this case particularly haunting. The couple had been gone for hours, yet nobody noticed. No witnesses, no 911 calls, just a routine welfare check that became an investigation. Rachel and Brandon Domovich were just days away from celebrating their first wedding anniversary. Middle school sweethearts who had known each other for 15 years before finally getting married. They'd honeymooned in Greece. Their social media showed a young couple building a life together. Rachel's final Facebook post, made just hours before the incident, showed a sunset with the caption, "Forever chasing sunsets, wishing we were back in Greece." Then, silence. Both were discovered in their car just before midnight on October 6th. Rachel, age 29, was in the driver's seat. Brandon, age 30, was in the passenger seat. Both had sustained fatal injuries. A weapon was recovered from the vehicle, and police issued a shelter-in-place order that was lifted within hours because, as they stated, there was no ongoing threat to the community. That single statement, "no threat to the community," tells investigators everything and tells the public almost nothing, because it suggests whatever happened in that car stayed in that car. No external perpetrator, no individual fleeing the scene, no manhunt necessary. But it doesn't explain what actually occurred or why a loving couple ended up gone on the side of the road. What follows is an examination of what investigators know, what forensic evidence reveals, and why the answer to this mystery might be more heartbreaking than any external threat could be. Rachel and Brandon appear to be living the life many dream of. According to their wedding website On the Knot, they were middle school sweethearts who met at age 12. Rachel wrote about how their relationship began. She took cologne from Brandon's locker and ran away with it, a playful act that caught his attention and started a friendship that would last 15 years before evolving into romance in 2022. Brandon proposed at Big Cedar in Slinger, Wisconsin, a location that held special significance for Rachel because she'd spent childhood summers there at her grandparents' home, which had since become her parents' property. They chose that same meaningful location for their wedding venue. The couple married on October 12th of the previous year. Social media posts documented their honeymoon in Greece, with photos showing them exploring ancient ruins, enjoying Mediterranean sunsets, and clearly reveling in newlywed happiness. Their married life appeared to be flourishing. Brandon's obituary painted him as someone who brought life and laughter into the lives of those around him from the very beginning. He had proudly served as a petty officer in the U.S. Navy, reflecting what the obituary described as his deep commitment to service and his enduring passion for helping others. Brandon loved anything motorized: RC flying, boating, snowmobiling, fishing, hunting. He embraced adventure with enthusiasm. The obituary noted his infectious smile and sharp sense of humor had a way of lighting up any room, and emphasized that family was always at the heart of everything he did. Rachel's obituary revealed she graduated from Crystal Lake South High School in 2014 as a two-sport varsity athlete in cheerleading and track. She earned her Bachelor of Business Administration with honors from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in 2018, consistently achieving Dean's List recognition. While in college, she volunteered with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metro Milwaukee, reflecting her dedication to helping others. She was described as a natural connector, advocate, and loyal friend, with a strong sense of empathy, compassion, social justice, and fair play, always championing those who needed a voice. Both obituaries painted pictures of vibrant, caring individuals with bright futures, yet both obituaries contained a striking omission. Neither mentioned the other. Rachel's obituary didn't reference her beloved husband. Brandon's didn't mention his beloved wife. For a couple found together, married less than a year, this absence is conspicuous. According to Harvard Police Department reports, just before midnight on October 6th, an officer noticed a parked car near Route 14 with hazard lights activated. Approaching to offer assistance, the officer discovered both occupants had passed away. Rachel was positioned in the driver's seat. Brandon was in the passenger seat. Both had sustained injuries consistent with a weapon. A firearm was recovered from inside the vehicle. Police initially ordered a shelter-in-place for the community but lifted it relatively quickly, stating there was no ongoing threat to public safety. That particular phrasing, "no ongoing threat," is significant in law enforcement communications. It's typically used when authorities have determined that whatever occurred was contained to the immediate victims and doesn't represent danger to others. Retired Detective Commander Will Spielar, analyzing the case based on publicly available information, noted several factors that point toward a specific scenario. The hazard lights being activated suggests someone consciously pulled over and turned them on, not behavior consistent with a violent carjacking or robbery attempt. The recovery of a weapon inside the vehicle, combined with the "no threat to the public" statement, suggests to investigators that the source of harm came from within the car rather than from an external perpetrator. The location, side of the road rather than in traffic or a populated area, indicates this wasn't a random act during normal driving. These details collectively paint a picture, though not a complete one. Detective Spielar emphasized that in cases like this, the forensic evidence becomes absolutely critical. The weapon recovered from the vehicle will undergo extensive testing. Investigators will test fire it and compare the ballistics, the unique markings left on projectiles and casings, to any evidence recovered from the scene or from the victims. This process takes several days, but definitively links a specific weapon to specific injuries. Residue testing on both Rachel and Brandon's hands, arms, and clothing will reveal who, if anyone, discharged the weapon. The patterns and concentrations of residue provide crucial information about proximity to a discharging firearm and whether someone actually fired it. The location and trajectory of injuries matter enormously. Were the wounds to the head, chest, or elsewhere? Were they contact wounds or from a distance? Investigators use trajectory rods to determine the path projectiles traveled, which can indicate positioning and sequence of events. The interior of the vehicle itself becomes a contained crime scene. Any damage to upholstery, windows, or structure gets documented and analyzed. Investigators will examine whether damage patterns suggest activity from inside the vehicle or from outside. They'll test surfaces for residue to understand where the weapon was when discharged. Even the headrests and rear seats will be examined to determine if anyone else was present in the vehicle. Toxicology reports will reveal whether substances were present in either person's system, potentially providing context for behavior or decision-making. Though Spielar notes, this may not be the determining factor in establishing cause and manner. Despite the evidence pointing in different directions, investigators must thoroughly examine all possibilities before reaching conclusions. Could this have been a carjacking or robbery gone wrong? The presence of hazard lights makes this unlikely. Victims don't typically activate hazards while being attacked. The "no threat to public" statement also suggests police have ruled out an unknown perpetrator. Could someone have been hiding in the vehicle's back seat? Forensic examination of the rear area will definitively answer this, though the immediate lifting of the shelter-in-place order suggests investigators quickly determined no third party was involved. Could this have involved one person and then the other? The evidence profile, 2 individuals gone, 1 weapon recovered, no external threat, is consistent with certain scenarios, though police haven't confirmed specifics. The timing raises haunting questions. This occurred just days before their first anniversary, the day after Brandon's 30th birthday. Rachel's final social media post hours before expressed nostalgia for their honeymoon. Nothing in their public-facing lives suggested crisis, despair, or danger. Detective Spielar offered a sobering observation about cases like this. "My father told me a long time ago, you never want to trade places with anyone because we really have no idea what's going on in somebody else's life." Behind carefully curated social media posts and public personas, private realities can be dramatically different. Financial pressures invisible to friends and family, relationship dynamics hidden behind closed doors, mental health struggles concealed behind smiling photographs. The appearance of happiness doesn't guarantee its substance. The fact that neither obituary mentioned the other spouse is unusual enough to warrant attention. Typically, for a married couple, especially newlyweds, obituaries prominently feature beloved husband or beloved wife language. The absence could suggest family dynamics or information that hasn't been made public. If there was tension or conflict between the families, or if either family suspected something troubling about the relationship, they may have already communicated this to investigators. As of this reporting, police haven't publicly classified this as a specific type of investigation or identified any persons of interest. The case remains open and active, with detectives working to piece together the final hours of Rachel and Brandon's lives. Investigators will reconstruct their movements, where they were that day, where they were going, whether they made any stops. Surveillance footage from businesses, traffic cameras, or residential security systems could provide timeline information. Phone records, text messages, and digital communications may reveal their state of mind or plans. Financial records might show recent transactions that provide context. The medical examiner's report will be crucial. Cause may be listed as related to the weapon recovered, but the manner, whether classified in various categories or undetermined, requires more investigation. In some cases, medical examiners list the manner as pending police investigation when forensic pathology alone can't determine circumstances. Detective Spilar predicts answers will come relatively quickly, possibly within the week of this analysis, unless toxicology results are needed to make final determinations. The contained nature of the scene and the physical evidence available should allow investigators to reach conclusions without prolonged uncertainty. So here's where this devastating case stands. A young couple, days away from their first anniversary, were found in their vehicle on the side of Route 14 with hazard lights flashing. Both had passed away from injuries. A weapon was recovered from inside the car. Police issued and quickly lifted a shelter-in-place order stating there's no ongoing threat to the community. That statement suggests whatever occurred happened within that vehicle without external perpetrators. The forensic evidence, ballistics, residue patterns, injury analysis, trajectory examination will definitively answer what happened mechanically. Test results will show who discharged the weapon, from what position, and in what sequence events unfolded. But the forensic evidence cannot answer the haunting questions that will linger regardless of official conclusions. Why would a couple who appeared happy, who had just celebrated a milestone birthday and were approaching their first anniversary, end up gone together? What happened in that car on Route 14? Was there a crisis nobody saw coming? Financial devastation? Mental health emergency? Relationship issues hidden from everyone? The gap between their public-facing lives and whatever reality existed in that vehicle may never be fully understood by those left behind searching for answers. For investigators, if this proves to be what evidence suggests, it will be a relatively straightforward case to close forensically. For the families of Rachel and Brandon, there will be no satisfying resolution, just the crushing weight of unanswered questions about how two young lives full of promise ended tragically on a roadside with hazard lights flashing, waiting to be discovered. The investigation continues, the community waits for answers, and two families grapple with a loss that makes no sense, regardless of what investigators ultimately conclude. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Harvard Police Department in Illinois as detectives work to bring clarity to this heartbreaking case.